If you're not booking as much voiceover work as you want, chances are you're making at least one of these mistakes. Most likely a bunch of them. I see these mistakes every single day from my students, and honestly, I've made most of them myself. So let's fix it. By the way, I'm Jesse Carroll. I've done over 2,000 voiceover commercials. I've made over $1 million in voiceover, and I run VoiceOver School. Best thing I've ever done, where we teach people how to book their first job, go full time, and even earn over 6 figures and get nominated for awards. And if you want to stop making rookie mistakes and start booking more, you, my friend, are in the right place. Mistake number 1. Let's start with the most common mistake I see. Leaving more than a half a second of silence at the beginning of your auditions. This will kill your audition, most likely, right there. Casting directors and clients are rushing through hundreds of auditions. It sucks that they are, but they do. And they don't want to spend too much time on each audition. If they have to wait even a second or two for you to start talking, you're labeled as green and they just move on. They want to hear your voice coming in right away. Start strong, start immediately. Don't make them wait. Half a second of silence at the beginning. That's it, no more. Mistake number 2, rushing the opening. On the flip side, don't rush your first line. You have 3 seconds to grab their attention before they turn it off. 3 seconds, that's it. If you don't really get into your groove until like 10 seconds in, they're not gonna listen to that part, most of the time at least. 3 seconds is all it takes for them to realize you're not right for the job. Or if you're right for the job, 3 seconds, that's it. As soon as they hear your voice. And by the way, you could knock it out of the park in the first 3 seconds and still not book it. Sometimes it's just not the voice they're looking for. Don't take offense to it, but make sure that your strongest part of your audition is within the first 3 to 5 seconds. Start strong. That's where you get the callbacks. That's where you win the job. Likewise, if you don't start strong, they'll just trash it, and they'll never hear the part where you knocked it out of the park. Mistake number 3, over-processing your audio. Over-processing is a killer, in a bad way. When I send my auditions to my agents, I don't really process them much at all, at least not enough that anybody can really tell. If I'm doing video games or animation auditions, they're pretty much raw. But when I do pay-to-play sites like voices.com or Voice123, Bidalgo, some of the other ones, it gets a little tricky because sometimes they want to hear what the finished product will sound like in the audition. And sometimes they just want your natural voice. So how do you tell the difference between the two? How do you know when they want it natural and when they want it finished product? Here's my rule of thumb. Anything under $500 budget, I lean towards some decent mastering. Not over processing, but clean. A little bit compressed, a little bit louder than normal. Anything over $500 and I get closer to unprocessed. The higher the budget, the more they want to hear your natural voice because they have an audio engineer that's going to do some stuff to it, and they want to know what it sounds like natural, baseline. So for those higher end jobs where I know they're going to use an engineer, maybe just a touch of compression, maybe just a little bit of EQ to take out some of the boxiness or muddiness. And if you don't know what that is, work with an audio technician like Jordan Reynolds, George the Tech, Lenny B. He's great too. These guys know what they're doing. It might cost you, somewhere between $300 to $600, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more if you can get a bro deal. But it's worth it if you want to do this for real. Get a light, medium, and fully mastered chain setup and use the right one for the right job. Low budgets, probably not working with an audio engineer, master it for them. Jobs over $500, less and less processing, just a touch, just to make your audition pop. And if you don't know how to do it, lean towards unprocessed for jobs over $500. Mistake number 4, just saying the lines. This is another big mistake. Just saying the lines at face value, especially in the age of AI. There's a lot more going on in these things than just the words on the page. You need to know your opinion on it, who you are in the script. Are you a testimonial? Are you an employee of the company? Are you the CEO? What is the company? Who is the company? Do you know anything about the company? If it's like Nike or Apple, you probably have an idea of who they are, what they do, and their brand and all that. But if it's a startup you've never heard of, do a second of research, a couple seconds. Just Google it. So easy to do. If the budget warrants it too. Like I'm not saying, here's the thing about pay-to-play auditions. If you're doing like a high volume like me, time is of the essence. You don't always get the luxury of looking up a product. But if the budget is, worth it, a few $100 or so, just look it up real quick. Read the notes. What are they telling you the product is all about? What kind of energy are they going for? But don't just give them what they're asking for in the directions either. Put your own spin on it. How do we do this? Okay, let's say you're doing a PSA for cancer treatment. And let's say that you have had cancer touch your life, whether it's personally or somebody close to you. Think about that moment. Think about them overcoming it and bring that emotional quality to the script rather than just reading the words on the page. Saying the words on the page at a natural pace, conversational, is level 1. There are more levels. You got to know what you're talking about, what your opinion is on it, who the client is, who their audience is. You need to know who you're talking to. I think one of the biggest cliches in voiceover is just talk to your best friend. And it is a cliche and it helps, but let's say your friend is a 50-year-old Scottish man and the product is for 16-year-old girls, you're talking to the wrong person. You need to do your research and you need to know who you are, who the product is, what the product is, who the company is, and who you're talking to. Don't just read the words at face value is the point. Know how you feel about the overall project, know what the scope is, what they're actually talking about, and bring your full life to it and your opinion. Don't just follow directions blindly. I think that was like a bunch of mistakes all in one. We'll call that mistake number 4.1, 4.2, 4. All the way to 5. Mistake number 5, predetermining your delivery. This is another big mistake. Predetermining how you're gonna say it instead of being flexible and free in the moment. Don't do the old school thing of underlining words that you want to emphasize and putting beats and pauses in it. Don't make a plan for every line. People can tell, and it's gonna sound disingenuous and you're gonna end up sounding like an AI. Don't be an AI. Be flexible. Let the script breathe. Be in the moment, you know? What do I mean by letting the script breathe? Letting pauses take effect. Here's a simple example. In the beginning of a script, they might say something like, are you looking for the next best thing? And then there's like a ... and there's another line. People, I'll hear them say like, they'll say that line and then start on the next line right away. If you're asking a question, you want to sound conversational, really ask that question, wait for an answer. Because you got to remember this, when you're saying things in voiceover, someone presumably is going to listen to it and they're gonna have thoughts come to their head. But if you're talking straight through the whole time, they won't have those thoughts come to head, or you'll interrupt them and it'll just feel janky. Just remember, you gotta let the script breathe, meaning know that it's a dialogue. Don't be afraid of silence. You know, as my friend Jim Merkel said, the silence is as important as the words, and it really is. You can tell the pros because there'll be lots of space in their auditions. There'll be lots of silence. As long as the script permits it, like if it's a 30-second spot and it's pretty tight and you gotta, keep a pretty big space, I mean, you gotta keep a pretty good cadence go on to get through it. You're probably not gonna have time for a lot of breathing room, but if you do have room, take it. Let the script breathe. I hope that's clear. If it's not, hit me up in the comments below. We'll explain some more. Maybe I'll do a whole video on letting the script breathe because I think it's that important. Mistake number 6, not adding emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not AIs, and not adding emotion when it's appropriate is a huge mistake. AI can do that. That's not how you beat the machines. Think of it like this. Yes, you're a voice actor, but you're also an actor. If you're talking about, like we were just talking about, cancer affecting your life, you need to deliver that realistically and appropriately. If you're talking about a new game that you're super excited about, you need to get really excited for real, not fake it. That's how you avoid sounding announcery or like an AI. You really gotta bring your whole self to it. Emotion, you need it. Get in touch with it. Mistake number 7, deleting auditions you think you're wrong for. This is a very big mistake, especially for new people. Huge mistake in auditioning, because deleting an audition that you think you're not right for, first of all, you have no idea what they're looking for and what you're right for in the beginning. I've booked so many jobs that said they were looking for the exact opposite of me. They said they were looking for Morgan Freeman, booked it. They said they were looking for Tom Hardy, booked it. I'm not British. I've even booked so many jobs that said they were looking for a certain accent, and I couldn't do the accent and I didn't even try, and I still booked the job. Legit. Like I have ones that said that they wanted an authentic Texas accent, and if you're not from Texas, don't apply for this job. Don't waste our time and yours. And I still booked it. And when I got it, I said, do you want me to try and do a Texas accent? I mean, I'm from Canada. I don't know if I can do it. I'll give it a shot. I don't know how authentic it'll sound. They're like, nah, yours fine. Even though the job said that don't even audition for this unless you're from Texas. Still got it. I did the same with Boston. I've done the same with a British accent. I've booked a spot for, I almost booked a Jaguar spot doing my regular voice. And that is a famously British car. I booked a Tesco spot doing this accent. This is not British at all. They just want a good performance. So don't just throw stuff away because you think you're not right for it. On the flip side, if you're brand new, don't take crazy risks either. I do that because I've been doing this long enough that I know I have a certain skill level and I can convince people. But if you're getting jobs for accents that you can't do, sometimes you will on pay-to-plays. Sometimes your settings are wrong. Go double check your settings. But if it's just like a North American accent and you're from North America, wherever it is, just do your regular accent. I was talking to one of my community members, and they auditioned for a spot that was supposed to take place in the Maritimes in Canada. And if you've ever been to the Maritimes or ever heard their accent, it sounds kind of like a cross between Canadian and Irish. Like, hey, bye, how you doing? Bye, come down to the bay, eh? I wish that was an exaggeration. And the person who booked it in my community is from California. It sounded nothing like totally like the opposite of an Atlantic Canada accent, and still booked the job, even though they said they wanted Atlantic Canada. You don't know unless you try. The market will tell you what you're good for. Even like for another example, just to really drive it home, I always thought there's no way I would be able to do medical reads because I don't know, I never took any kind of like biology or anything like that. I don't know the terms, but I do a lot of tongue twisters, and every now and then a medical read would come by, then it's got a decent budget, so I'd audition for it, and I started booking them a lot. I've done a bunch of medical reads. I had people reach out to me to do medical reads, and I charge like twice as much for them because they take a long time because you have to memorize what the pronunciation are, and you have to know what you're talking about, and they're not easy to do. But I never thought that I would be good at them unless I tried it. So always try, especially in the beginning. The market will tell you what you're good for. What you're good for? What you're good at by what you book. Mistake number 8, blindly following punctuation. This one is another huge mistake that all rookies, including myself when I was brand new, make. So don't feel bad if you do this. We don't talk with punctuation in real life. We write that way so that people can interpret it and understand what the author's intent was. But if you read it that way, it's going to sound really reedy. You don't need to yell when you see an exclamation point. It just means that that's an important line. That's really it. But most of the punctuation you can ignore, and you can make up your own punctuation too. You can put pauses wherever the hell you damn well want. Middle of a sentence, at the beginning of the whole spot, like really the world is your oyster when it comes to the text. Really, you want it to sound like it's coming off the top of your head and that you wrote these words. Of course, you have to be flexible because if you get into a live directed session, they say they want to keep those commas in and the periods in where they wrote them. Sometimes that happens, you gotta follow it. But when you're doing the audition, say it the way that feels most natural to you and forget about the punctuation. Punctuation is BS. So stop following it. Be a rule breaker. Be a rule breaker. Mistake number 9, reading too fast. People read way too fast when they start voiceover. Slow it down. It's not a race. Especially for like training videos, people need to hear the information. Separate your thoughts. If you're asking a question, like we said earlier, pause, like you're actually asking a question and waiting for an answer. That's how you make it sound more conversational. And above all, to slow down. It's not a race. Take your time. It's pretty rare I tell somebody to speed it up when they're brand new. I'm always telling people to slow down. Mistake number 10, not doing enough auditions. One of the biggest mistakes in auditions is actually not doing them. If you're doing less than 10 auditions a day, you're leaving so much money on the table. Even if you're good and you have like a crazy booking ratio like Jim Merkel, everyone can find time to do at least 30 auditions a day, minimum. I do 40 to 60 these days. 30 takes me like, I don't know, like half an hour to record it, another hour on top to actually edit it. You know, maybe like probably like hour and a half to 2 hours to do 30. You can find time to do that. Most people don't even do 10, 30. You can do that even in the beginning. Now, if you're saying that you don't have enough time to do 30 auditions and there's no way you could do 30 in like 2 hours or even 3 hours, that leads us to mistake number 11, spending too much time on auditions. You're spending way too much time on your auditions. I get it. In the beginning, you second guess yourself a lot, but I promise you, your 30th take is usually no better and often worse than your 3rd or 4th take. Give yourself 3 or 4 takes maximum. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Most of my auditions, including the editing, take like 5 minutes or less. Don't drive yourself crazy. Don't spend half an hour on your audition or even an hour. You know, you're going to frustrate yourself and make voiceover unenjoyable. I have heard crazy stories of some of my new students spending like 3 hours on one audition. Don't do that. Don't go to crazy town. Set a timer, 10 minutes. 10 minutes up, you're done. So, those are a bunch of mistakes I see every day. Which ones are you making? I want to know in the comments below. Let me know. Or are there any mistakes that you make or that you've heard of people making a lot that I didn't put on this list that should have been on this list? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stop making these mistakes and start booking more, check out VoiceOver School. We teach you how to audition smarter, not harder, and actually enjoy the process and have fun doing it. Links for VoiceOver School are in the description below. If you like this kind of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Don't quit. Don't overthink it. Set a timer when you're doing auditions and just do the thing.